someone in the house.
It's my privilege to teach you this semester. Enjoy your winter breaks and Merry Christmas.
Sup, ladies? Excited for tonight?
It is our last day of our last fall semester of college ever.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring.
Can you take a photo of all of us?
Of course.
Where's Helena?
Now the
She was pounding vodka sodas earlier, but she looked really good.
jingle bell rock.
We shouldn't have let her go back by herself. She's fine. Come on, live a little.
In the frosty air.
No, wait. Helena hasn't gotten home yet.
If I were missing, I'd want you to unleash the bloodhounds and track me down.
She was at DKO last night.
Still creating problems, huh, Rye?
Hello? Hello? I'm worried that something bad happened.
It's winter break. Could just be a delay of some sort. Snow.
My friend is missing.
9 times out of 10, the girl's just with a boyfriend.
I will bring you to your knees.
There's someone in the house.
What the? This can't be real.
This school has 200 years of history. Many sacrifices have been made to keep our traditions alive.
You're all insane.
I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of running. Go, 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 go! Ho, 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 bitch. You messed with the wrong sisters.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Fresh Cuts. I'm Mike, 1/6 of your hosting team tonight. With me, as always, Venom. How are you doing?
Greetings and salutations, watchers of shit movies. How you doing, Mike?
This is gonna take so much longer than it should that I had to drop the Mr. off Mr. Venom just to make it go faster for the intro.
And then that explanation just killed that.
Well, there's always gonna be an explanation, but we have a loaded cast tonight, so I'm going to get to the intros. I'll start with folks that are returning to the show, starting with JP from 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. How's it going, JP?
Yo, I'm back on the cuts, the fresh cuts.
What a movie to pick, right?
I almost didn't come on, and then when me and Carly was walking out of the theater, I started saying stuff, and I was like, I literally need to be on Fresh Cuts tonight.
It's basically what it's what Jeremy pulled with 31 when he's like, I need it. He just hits me up. He's like, I need to do it.
Oh, you mean 3 from Hell?
Or excuse me, 3 from Hell. Yes, and then the other voice you just heard returning also is Carly. How you doing, Carly?
I'm good. Glad to be here, kind of. Yeah, this should be fun.
Your definition of fun differs greatly from mine.
Oh boy.
All right. Then, making their debut on the show, I'll start with Heather Powell from It's Not Horror Okay, or however you think the okay should be pronounced.
Fine. It's not horror okay, it was just fine. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I've listened to this show a tons, and Black Christmas really changed my life, so I'm really excited to talk about it tonight for sure.
Me too.
It may change the show. It may change the show too.
That movie.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
All right, and then finally, rounding out tonight's cast, you probably know his show very well on Horrorphilia Network. He's one of the trio of the Exploding Heads podcast. It's Christian. How's it going, Christian?
It's going great. I've got nothing witty to say. in my intro.
Well,
although I'm a neighbor of Heather, like she's literally
really
probably
close.
like 20 kilometers away from me.
Yeah.
Kilometers. We're talking kilometers
Yeah,
here.
kilometers. Yeah.
Canadiana.
Well, I will say I'm impressed when I compare your presence versus Brandon's presence in the Fresh Cuts chats. The fact that you ended up on here before him,
That's it.
he probably is in there the most out of anyone, including me and Venom. So
he just memes it up. Meme.
Dog photo, dog gif, dog gif.
Raccoon.
I love the raccoon. I'm a big fan.
I think his dad does it for him, actually.
That guy is not real, and you know it.
all right. Well, this is one of those episodes, obviously, where we have a ton of people, so we will try our best not to talk over each other. It's bound to happen, once in a while, but we'll try not to. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of passionate things said about this one, and we are talking about 2019's Black Christmas. Yes, it's the third Black Christmas, I think, unless there's like any other ones I don't know of with the same name. All right, so synopsis time off IMDb. A group of female students are stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is, until the young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy. Ooh. All right. So general thoughts time. Venom, let's hear your general thoughts on Black Christmas 2019.
Okay, listeners, before I start, I want to apologize for the not very Christmassy language that I'm going to be using, but it's about the only way I can talk about this movie. This movie fucking sucks in every way possible. Terrible performances, terrible characterization, uninspired cinematography, atrocious editing. I've seen shot on video movies that are edited better than this piece of fucking garbage.
Oh,
this movie claims to be a female-centric horror movie, but I found it just as insulting to men as it is to women. I think the women in this movie, who are supposed to be these heroic characters, are vapid, empty-headed dipshits who don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I obviously I'm not blaming the actors and actresses themselves. It's the writing, it's the direction. Where else can I go with this? I obviously I'll be able to support all those points once we get into the spoiler section, but this is literally the worst theatrical movie I've seen this year. I wanted to walk out 20 minutes in, but of course, I'm a podcaster. I gotta do what I gotta do, so I powered through it, and I fucking regret it in every way possible. And I'm just going to end my general thoughts by saying I'm pretty sure this movie gave me fucking cancer. Who's next?
Wow.
Like Chevy Chase in National
I can't really beat that.
Oh my god, that's funny.
So that's one vote for it was just okay. Next. Let's see. Who do I want to go to next? Let's go JP. What about you?
All right, dude. There is so much stuff that is so unlikable about this movie. It is ridiculous. I didn't have as much problem with the cinematography. I actually thought there was some decent shots. Snow Angel death shot I really liked. But the stuff that I hated, I was actually shocked at how amateurish like some of the writing was. I couldn't believe that, like, some of the character performances too, but I think it like Venom said, it's more about how they were written and directed. Like when you have this character who it just kind of got walked in on when he was about to have sex with this girl or whatever, but she was drunk. Like he's supposed to be caught, you know what I mean, before he could do that. And how that character would react, even if he planned on having sex with her no matter what, is more of like caught in the act, like, oh no, I wasn't doing anything, you know what I mean? And he's like aggressive. It's so in your face. It's disgustingly in your face how and Mike, you said every guy isn't bad in this, I highly disagree, dude. I mean, everybody is except for one character who is the nerdy, non-masculine black dude that's sympathetic towards the girls. Like, that's the only good character, and it was designed that way for a reason. He was designed to be a minority. He was designed to be a little nerdier. He was designed to be sensitive to the girls, because anybody who's not that is obviously evil. And that's how this movie is completely designed. And it's clear that it's designed that way, because the director told us all that it was designed that way before it came out, which was annoying. I think that when you look at this movie as a whole, I think there is a good movie inside of it. You could make something cool out of this, but it was completely just ridiculous in how on the nose everything was, and how the characters are just designed in the most shitty way possible, the most basic, bland, uninspired take on sexual assault and things like that. I said after I watched it, I was like, I've seen sexual assault handled better in episodes of Degrassi than it is in this film. It's very, 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 actually, it's bad. I agree with Benham. It's a bad movie. So that's first general thoughts, kind of all over the place. But
And last, you fucking took like 5 minutes here. Holy shit.
Yeah. All right. So our second 7.5 out of 10. Carly, what do you got to say about it?
Well, this reminds me of like high school when you're like afraid to stand up and give your presentation to the class because you can't beat the next person. But yeah, I went into this movie wanting to like it and also thinking I was going to like it. I thought everyone was being over dramatic with it, saying, it's all like a men hating type of movie and the whole Me Too movement and all that stuff. And I thought it can't possibly be that bad, but it was that bad. Pretty much every single scene in the movie has something to do with that type of stuff, like rape situations, just men being pigs, and just every single scene has something like that going on in it. And if a movie wants to give messages like that, it's fine. Kind of like JP said, if it's handled like smartly and in a good way, and there's good dialogue and all that, that's fine and dandy. But this movie, it almost feels cheap. It feels like a high school project or something where you're trying really hard to make a message about rape culture, depression, or something like that, and the whole thing is just centered around that, and it's really over dramatic and all that. I think the dialogue is just very, very, I guess, lazy, you can say. It's very typical, and just the scenes are cringeworthy. That's a word I tend to use a lot, and watching this movie, there were multiple times where I just like kind of ducked down in my seat almost, because I just thought it was way too forced and way too cringy. Yeah, if I could say anything positive, I did like the Christmas atmosphere, I guess, and the general concept without giving it away, because obviously this isn't like an exact remake of Black Christmas. It tries to do its own little plot. I think the actual idea that they had there could have been good if it wasn't so into this whole, empowering women type of thing. And so, once again, like JP said, there is like a good movie here. There's a decent concept, but just them trying so hard to do this big message kind of ruined it for me. And yeah, overall, I just could not get past any of that. When a message is just so strongly thrown in there in almost every single scene, and all the dialogue kind of revolves around it, to me, it's like it takes away from the kills and any other horrific scenes that you might get in the film, and just makes it really annoying to watch. And I pretty much wanted to leave. I wouldn't say it was like the worst movie I saw in theaters this year, but it's for sure up there. So yeah, that's pretty much my general thoughts.
All right, Heather, are you going to be the first one to not like this movie?
Oh yeah, no, it was my favorite movie. Actually, I got what they were trying to do. I work at a post-secondary institution, and I can tell you that shit that happens in that movie, the rapes, that happens, and it gets swept under the rug. And I understood trying to address it. The problem was it was so sloppily done, and I think everyone has really touched on that. And the first movie did have some feminist stuff in it as well, if we look at the abortion issue in the first movie, or the original, I guess you should say. But I felt like what they tried to do here was they tried to portray an important message, but it was so poorly written. It was so over the top. And because I really felt were gearing this towards young ladies, they took away from any decent kills that could have been in the movie. The kills were horrible. They were not entertaining. They were stupid. And the writing was just super poor. I also, at 10 minutes into that movie, sat there and realized I had made a grave mistake. And Christian was at the showing before me. We were literally saw the movie in the same theater, like an hour apart from each other. And I just, I apologized to the person that I brought because it was pretty fucking bad. And I just think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that the director chose to go that route. I think it's a shame that they didn't put the energy into the writing, into the filming to make it a better quality. And that if you're going to put a message together like that, like choose what you're going to do. For fuck's sakes, choose what you're going to do. You can't do it all, and you can't do this over the top Me Too, female empowerment, whatever you want to call it, and then make the rest of it so shit. Like, it was just too much in this film, trying to do too much, and it just wasn't entertaining. And those are my general thoughts.
All right, so no one is liking Rise of Skywalker so far. Damn. All right, Christian, let's hear from you. Are you going to be the one to change things up, or were you just trolling us in the chat?
I liked it. It's not great. It's by no means great. I don't even know if it's good, but I liked it. I brought my 14-year-old daughter to it. She liked it. Should we admit there was like cheesiness to it? Like, as a remake, it shouldn't even be called a remake. As a remake, it's a 0 out of 10. Honestly, the name and a sorority. That's all they take from it. Heather does bring up a good point with, the issues of abortion in the original, but really that's like, I think she's trying to draw some sort of comparison to maybe justify that she went to see this movie. But I just said, you know what? I wasn't expecting this to be a remake for whatever reason, based on what I read beforehand and the preview. I went in with no expectations, and I enjoyed it. JP brought up that snow angel kill. Thought it was great. Yes, it could have used gore. There was one, I jumped at one scene, actually, and I liked the silliness of the ending. And in fact, the title Black Christmas suits this movie quite well. That's my general thoughts.
All right. Well, spoiler section is going to get interesting, I'm sure. For me, I thought the movie was mediocre. I didn't like it too much. We're repeating a lot of what everyone already said. I understand the themes they were going for. I understand the statements they were trying to make. I don't necessarily disagree with what they were trying to say, but it was sloppy. It was not well written. I think it was unnecessarily tame. We kind of got an explanation for that, which we'll get into later. But for me, when it comes to horror, it's never the issue that I don't think you can make good PG-13 horror, but
you definitely can.
You can
make great. Some of my favorite horror is PG-13 horror.
You can't make an effective PG-13 slasher.
Yeah, I think slasher is a little more. It's a little tougher, and I've always said that it's not the PG-13 that makes a horror movie lame. It's when a movie was obviously likely written to be R, and they just start taking a scalpel to things to get it to a PG-13, and it seems painfully obvious when that happens, especially with slashers. That's the one subgenre where it just seems obvious, like that they were, cutting it down. Now, I will argue, and I'm sure we'll discuss this further. I don't necessarily have an issue with this kind of commentary even being on the nose so much if it's done better with better writing. I think this movie's problem, it's not so much that they were quote unquote in your face about things. It's just it was sloppy and it was poorly written. What do you mean by that? So, have you guys seen Assassination Nation?
No.
Yeah,
Anyone?
yes. I have.
Fantastic.
Now,
I like that one a lot.
Now, I'll pose the question. There was nothing subtle about the messages in that movie. It was pretty on the nose. The dialogue was very straightforward about the message they were trying to convey, but it was written a lot more clever. The movie was executed well. Rated R didn't hurt either. That the fact that they could really go for it with the kills, to me, that's an example to say you can be in your face about the message and not trying to hide the fact of what you're really going for and do it well, and it doesn't hurt the movie. That didn't happen in this one. No, but I'm just saying my issue is somewhat related to what everyone's saying. It's just a little different.
It's not that it's 100% the fact that it's on the nose, because I love messages in horror. The people who are bitching that there is a message or an agenda or whatever in the movie, that does not bother me at all. I've seen plenty of movies where they have an agenda to push a message, and I have no problem with that. It is about how you do it, though. That's what it comes down to. And go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, watching this movie, it felt like the writer and director thought their audience were idiots. Because
I felt like they thought they were so smart too. Like, I'm gonna write this scene where the cop doesn't believe her, but it's a metaphor for when people are raped and then nobody else believes them. And it was so over the top, ridiculous. Yeah. This cop was acting like she was the dumbest fucking human being on the planet. He's like, what do you mean? And then all the villains are like mustache twirly, like. This whole movie is over the top. Every single scene in this movie is over the top when it's dealing with any of that stuff, because it's written that way to where nobody could understand this stuff without it being explained to them. And that is also why she came out and told you how to watch this movie before it happened. The thing Joe Bob was saying is true. The people in the 70s and 80s did not tell you how to watch their movie. They said, here it is. Take it how you will, and if somebody wants to ask and talk to me about it, I'll explain what I was doing. But nowadays, especially with people like this woman, whoever directed this film, she feels like she has to tell everybody, this is what I did, this is what I did, here's how I did it, watch out for this, because this is going to be what the movie's about. And that's fucking ridiculous, man. It really is.
That's our society now. Sorry for cutting you off, but that's how movies are presented. Everybody's we have interviews and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, they didn't have as much of that back in the day. For sure.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. That's a whole nother can of worms with this film is the trailer. This film is a film that made me not watch trailers again. I've decided going into 2020, I'm done with trailers again. I came back for a moment, but the entire movie is in this trailer. I don't know if you've seen it, Christian, but it's literally the worst case of trailer showing the entire everything. Literally nothing is not in the trailer. It's insane.
Yeah. Just to I watched the trailer. Too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Venom.
No. I was going to say that most of my listeners know I don't watch trailers. I don't read reviews before I see the movie. I watched the trailer after I got home from the movie. This is the prime example why I don't watch trailers. Because if I would have watched this trailer, I would have refused to have gone to see this movie. Mike would be here by himself on this show right now because I would refuse to go see it. Had I seen that trailer, it was, oh my God, it was, and oh my God, somebody else go before I have a coronary.
To add to JP's point, I want to ask Carly a question.
What's up?
So I agree with what JP was saying about how it portrayed men, but did it not portray, the opening scene, and this isn't a spoiler, with the Diva Cup and the pad. Mm-hmm. But did you not think that was the most fucking retarded shit you've ever seen? Yes. Honestly, I have never, ever interacted with another woman like that or seen someone put a pad on in front of me. It was so over the top female, and that was supposed to be a female empowerment of diva cups and pads, and I'm getting you a vibrator and all these other ridiculous female, I don't need a man, look at me, I menstruate, look at this. And I understand the men here may have not got that, but there's a lot of that shit that was very much... This is I am woman, hear me roar, starting off within the first 10 minutes. And I found that too much. It was too much over the top. I don't know if you felt the same, Carly.
I did. It's almost offensive. It's just here is how dumb females interact all the time. All they do is talk about dildos and pads. And I had to explain to JP what that Diva Cup thing was.
What the hell is that?
I took my 14-year-old to this. I think I just had a maybe I wasn't paying attention because I was like, vibrators, and she's popping her. I think maybe I just separated myself from the film at that point.
Yeah, you know what? And here's the thing about that, though. And I agree with Venom. What one key point he said in his opening thing. He said it's insulting to women, and I really do think it is. And I don't think her intention is clearly to say like women should be proud of being women, and you know they're you know, to put it in your face, you know what I mean? To put that opening scene was to set up like, this is what we're doing here, guys. You know what I mean? Like you better not be afraid to see women be women. And I think that's what she's going for. And I think that it ends up being counterproductive in a way, because it makes it almost offensive to women. Like, hey, we don't act like that. And also that goes back to the fact that she said that, you know, the reason she cut all the gore out of the film was because this film needed to be seen by young girls so they can get into horror. Like this, like the girls aren't capable of getting into horror in another way with our films like everybody else did. You know what I mean?
I got into horror at 16, and I certainly didn't watch this shit. So and I think JP, you said it perfectly. It is offensive to women, because both Carly and I were like, what the fuck is this, for lack of a better word. So absolutely, I don't think most women in their 30s, in their 20s, or I don't know, maybe young ladies did. I don't know. Kristen's daughter enjoyed it, and you know, maybe she did found it empowering in parts, and I could see absolutely how that would be. But those opening 15 minutes was just so over the top for me that it lost me almost there.
I also felt like this movie's main kind of social commentary was kind of contradictory to what they were showing us. Like it kind of made it seem like the director was trying to tell us, oh, women are strong. When we stick together, we can take down men, you know, rah, rah, rah. But then as soon as any woman was isolated by herself, she got picked off. So what's the message? That women are strong together, but by themselves they're weak and they can't take on a man? I found that offensive, and I have a fucking penis, and I found it offensive.
Yeah, I agree with you there too, man.
It's like
that he's got a penis?
And the thing is, too, guys, listeners, when I walked out of this film, I thought to myself, well, maybe I hate it because I'm a guy, and the movie kind of came off as very man-hating. So I did some research. I went online. I found 4 or 5 different female YouTubers that do movie reviews. Every single one of them hated it. One of them actually hated it more than I did. Go figure. I didn't even think that was possible. But yeah, so this movie really has no commentary for anyone, in my opinion. What commentary is there for young women? It just shits on it in the very next scene. So this director, I don't know what else she's done, but I pray to God she doesn't work again. At least not in this kind of, at least not in our genre, because she obviously doesn't know what she's doing. As we've already said, you can make an effective horror film that's PG-13. We've seen it before, and we'll see it plenty more in the future. But this worked on no level. It didn't work as a horror movie. It didn't work as a comedy. It didn't work as a drama. It didn't work as a social, commentary film. Nothing about it worked for me in any way, shape, or form. And that's unfortunate, because this really did seem like it was going to be an important movie going into it. And I don't know. It feels like they just failed in every way possible. So now here we are bashing it. And, she may have done more damage to her cause than good at this point.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's actually completely frustrating that I think that if she would have made this film tone down some of the ridiculousness of the men are evil type stuff and women are this, and it comes off offensive to women and all that stuff, if she would have literally toned it down and didn't come out and say this is what this movie's about and let the world see it, like this could have been a very awesome and important moment for young girls and the movement in general. The actual serious point that this movie is trying to talk about, but fumbling and dropping the key points everywhere, it could have been something awesome, and it could have been a surprise and a nice wake up call type of moment. But instead, it was just shoveled, force fed to you in this disgusting and stupid way, man. When I was watching it, I wanted it to work, because I was like, if this did work, I was thinking how some of the stuff that she was saying is obviously true. There are situations in which women are assaulted and they go to get help and it doesn't work because they're not believed and things like that. And if she could have managed to just tone it down a bit and change some things, this could have been an awesome thing. And it just total fell to me.
Yeah, I feel like it was a waste of Corey Elway's, who's usually, I love him in almost everything he does. In this movie, literally the first frame that he's on screen, he's already got those evil eyes. He's already, being intimidating to a woman. And then I started to think, oh, well, maybe it's a red herring. Maybe this director's not that upfront with it. Nope. Absolutely not a red herring. I mean, obviously, if you've seen the trailer, blah, blah, blah. You know everything that's going on anyway. You got 90% of the story in the trailer. And the 10% that you didn't get was absolutely stupid. So, and by the way, can someone please explain to me why this is called Black Christmas? Can someone on God's fucking green earth tell me why this is called Black Christmas?
I thought it was because it calls back to the black arts, the black magic shit at the end.
Yeah.
I said it fits this movie better.
I actually agree with you.
It fits the movie perfectly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does.
I'm fine with a remake being nothing like the people that are complaining like, well, the original was, I don't care about that. That doesn't matter to me what the original was or wasn't. Like, yeah, the original didn't have blood either. It's okay, like, but it was done in a different time and it was done with thrills and suspense. And instead, this is more of flashy, fast-paced slasher. So it did kind of need the kills and the blood and stuff like that. And boy, I'll tell you what, the ending was just really cheesy to me too. We didn't really talk about that, but wow. So
I love that though. Like I thought, I don't know what it is. When it went all silly, that's when I was all on board. When they do the hero shot and everything else, and they attack, I would be
if it wasn't such a serious subject matter film. It's two different things. That's the problem.
So you see, it's a clash. I mean, and I'm hearing you guys talk, and I'm like, yep, I can't necessarily disagree with what you guys are saying. For whatever reason, I guess I just didn't let the social commentary bother me to the extent that I'm hearing it bothered all of you. And I just sort of sat back and enjoyed it for what it was. And I thought when it got silly, I was on board for it.
I think the comparison.
Also, you're in a.
Okay.
Now, Christian, would you also say it was because maybe your daughter got into it? Because I could see for that ending scene, a young lady who is younger, maybe feeling empowered by that. Do you think that affected your experience watching it with your daughter, or did that have no impact?
I probably did. Of course, like I said, I was like a little bit weary at the beginning there with all that dialogue. But as the movie played out, she was expecting more of a slasher film. She saw the remake with me as well, which she was much too young to have seen the 2006 one. She's actually made Christmas songs about eyes being.
Wait, but as a young girl, how did she ever get into horror with something like that?
Because Dad is a creep. No, I'm just kidding.
But what were you going to say, Carly?
I was going to say, I think the comparison to like Assassination Nation is a pretty good one, because with that movie, it's like you don't even really think about any of the commentary or anything. I mean, you see it's there, but the movie is so good and the characters are so good and all of it's so smart that it just doesn't matter. This movie, it's so thrown in that I actually forget that I'm even watching a horror movie. This film didn't even feel like a horror movie to me because I was so focused on all the bullshit that was going on that it really, like you guys keep saying, it just isn't well mixed together at all to where it would be a good blend. Like this person, the director, whoever it is, she could make a decent drama film, I could see, but to make this a horror film, I think was just the wrong step. And of course, calling it Black Christmas was a misstep as well, because people went into it hating it to begin with. But I just think the blend does not work at all, and that's kind of one of the biggest issues too for horror fans.
Yeah.
Really quickly, if you don't mind, the director, because we didn't actually say who she was. Her name is Sophia Takal, and she actually did a film that I've seen, and she directed Always Shine, which was actually
I like that
pretty
one.
good. Me and Carly reviewed that on Netflix and chill. I think there was some commentary in there too. But yeah, it just very, very not so much in your face, I guess.
Yeah, I completely disagree with Mike on his point about Assassination Nation being over the top and in your face about it. I thought it was fairly subtle, and just like Carly said, I wasn't thinking about it throughout the movie. I was enjoying a well-written and well-performed movie, and then after the movie, I started to think more and more about the commentary. That's how it should be done. You shouldn't be getting slapped in the face with the social commentary. I literally felt like someone beat the shit out of me with a diva cup walking out of this theater.
Yeah.
That was just a wish.
Venom.
I mean, I feel the problem. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it, so and I don't want to like spoil anything because we're not here to do that. But I disagree that Assassination Nation was subtle about anything. But I think this movie's problem is the commentary is almost done through like dialogue zingers, you know, like kind of JP brought it up earlier, like the cop. Dude, you could have easily just had the. Well, actually, no. I should probably not detail that till we get to spoilers. I don't think we officially got into spoilers yet.
You get that cop character in every movie, though. It just happens.
I'll just say the cop could have acted the same exact way, but just said something completely different that gets the same point across, but not use like such over the top like see no one believes her dialogue, because there's actual police procedure for how to react to that pretty much means he would have reacted similar as far as like saying, you know, what he can and can't do, which is what cops probably would have done in that situation anyway. But it was written specifically to make him seem like over the top and like not on her side. And
I agree with Christian. Those cops do exist in every horror movie. You know, they're like, you know, I think of, you know,
Hell Night,
Jason Lives and stuff, you know, like nobody believed him. And that's one I always think of. But it's just that it literally was like insulting to her as a human being that he was being so dismissive. You know what I mean? It was way overboard.
My issue isn't even that he didn't believe her, but shoot, do you guys just want to get into spoilers, or is there anything else to say?
Might as well.
The only one thing I wanted to add, the only thing that I will say was accurate about this was the representation of post-secondary when it comes to what's taught and what happens on a campus. From working on a post-secondary institution, the prof that was in that movie could have been picked out and put in any fucking campus. That I will say they nailed right down, and the stuff that happens around that, which that's the only probably thing I can say, is that where a lot of these issues came from involving post-secondary culture is not far off. And there are cops on post-secondary campuses that would treat someone like that. It's getting less and less, but it does happen. So I think that reflection was accurate, and that's one of the few compliments I can give.
I just don't understand why the filmmaker felt that for her to be able to push her female, you know, empowerment agenda, why she had to make every male in the movie a piece of shit. There's literally
like, can you respond to that, please? Because I saw you make a post that said that was bullshit.
Well, there's Taylor or Trevor. What's the guy's name that comes in the diner or into the coffee shop? Kid? Yeah,
and the boyfriend.
The black kid who
right. I didn't finish my point.
Oh, sorry.
They literally give us two guys in the movie that aren't, you know, complete woman-hating assholes, and even then, they still almost get turned into members of the fraternity, whatever. I'm not going to get into how, obviously.
Yeah, because they're weak.
Yes, exactly. It's like
because all men deep down inside want that.
That is probably what she was trying to say. I mean, this woman, I mean, she must have just the worst opinion of men ever.
But that's her opinion, and that's where I'm going. Like, that's why it doesn't bother me, because there are people out there like that. Just like there's like, don't go in the basement. This is like maybe her response to a film like that. Maybe something happened in her life, and she is sorry.
Don't go into the frat.
Don't go to the frat. Yeah. Don't go to the frat would be a better title for this. And she has a chip on her shoulder, and this is her outlet. And I had no problem with that. I really didn't let it bother me. I'm like, okay, she's got a voice, and this is how she wants to say it. Now, obviously, tons of people are not agreeing with her. But there are people that say, no, this should be seen and is important. I'm not there. I'm not saying I'm not putting it on a pedestal. I'm actually leaning, if we with that comparison with Assassination Nation, that's closer to a perfection film. This is nowhere near that. This is overt, as we've been saying ad nauseum. But so be it. It's what she wanted to say.
Right, and I'm saying what I want to say right now. I mean, just like she has the freedom to make that movie that hates on men and elevates every woman to fucking goddess status, I have the right to say you're wrong and fuck you for doing it, because
True.
that is not a representation of the entire population. It's not even a good represenation of just women.
It's not a good representation of college campus life either, because it's just too much. I understand that there is an alleged, mentality there, but it's too much. You're pushing it to where it's comical, it's laughable, and that is the wrong thing that you want to do. You don't want to make people laugh at this situation, because it's not a laughing matter. It's a serious situation, and you're being stupid about it and making it seem fucking fake. It seems fake. It seems like that would never happen because of the way you designed it. The fact that they
JP, just to clarify, are you referring to the sorority frat or the professor?
I'm referring to the whole movie, especially once you find out what's really going on. At that point, it is ridiculous. I
agree.
silly.
At the end, it is ridiculous. Absolutely.
Well, I think once we get that, I think once we get the,
I was completely checked out at that point.
I was confused about why they did that reveal, because then to me it almost becomes like a second movie entirely. It almost seems like it hurts and cheapens the message they were trying to go for in the first place.
Yeah, it becomes unrealistic.
Well,
are we in spoilers?
Well, that's why I was kind of dancing around what it actually is, but we can just officially get there, because now I feel like now we're trying to dance too much. So if you haven't seen it, then stop here. Although
don't go watch it.
Yeah. Well, if we haven't talked you out of it.
Just listen to this episode. It's endlessly more entertaining than that fucking movie.
So okay.
And it's about to get better.
Especially Simmons Venom.
It's spoiler time. So real quick, I just want to jump back to the cop. What I was basically trying to say is you could have got across his same skepticism by stating the obvious. If you go to the cops to report a missing person after a few hours, they're going to treat you skeptical. Like, they're going to be skeptical, and they're going to say they have to be missing for 24 hours. Yeah. That's mostly that's all he had to say. And he could have done it with an eyebrow raise and kind of you're crazy. Your friend probably just is stuck in traffic. Come back in 24 hours. I mean, it would have had the same effect instead of
on top of
making
the fact
that cop just so much of a jerk.
On top of the fact that she had to push the fact that he was a fat fucking slob, because we see him making his sandwich, slathering mayonnaise all over it. I mean, it was
a shitload of mayo.
Absolutely. It's like, I have eyes. I can see that the guy is fat. You don't have to compound that by fucking making him make this mayonnaise sandwich that I have that we then have to watch him eat part of.
And plus, honestly, someone going home for the Christmas holiday with all that extra traffic and stuff, I think it would be realistic for them to possibly be a few hours late. I don't think the world's going to sound.
Well, the reason she did it, it's not written like that, though, Mike, is intentional. It is intentional for you to know loud and clear that this is what happens to females when they try to report something. And it comes off laughably bad because it's not realistic to in this instance, what a cop would do. Even if he was dismissive, he would not be that fucking dismissive. And it ruins what she's saying. It ruins the message that she has there.
Absolutely. Well, on top of the fact that he's a campus cop, so I mean, it's not like he has job security. All it takes is a few women to go to the dean and say, this guy's an offensive asshole that doesn't do his job, and boom, he's gone. I mean, he's not a cop. He's not protected. He's just a fucking security guard.
Depends on the campus, but I think the other point that I thought was over the top, just to add to JP's point about what the cop said, is when he was walking out to his car and he said, "Boys will be, well, I thought that was one of the most cheesiest shit that they could have thrown in there. Like, because we constantly, that's tying back again to culture of this boys will be boys culture, and we have to accept it. So I do agree that he probably, there could be some issues, but a lot of things do get hush-hushed at a university or a college or whatever. It happens. But right. I agree that it was over the top. Like, the bottom line is, yes, this shit happens. But as JP said, and as Venom has said, it's so unbelievable. It's so unbelievable, the conversations, that it takes any of the realism out of it. And it takes away the message.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to say, as far as the movie's theme itself, by the time we get to our reveal and stuff, to me, it almost had a similar thing as like something like Stepford Wives, because we get to the thing where it's like the old frat, the legacy guy, foresaw a future where women were going to have equality and quote unquote step out of line, and he was determined to come up with a way to make sure they knew their place, so to say. But to me, that almost felt like a totally different, because like the first, 3/4 or half of the movie, it felt like it was more, the date rape or whatever happened to her. She got roofied, and I guess the dude raped her, I think.
It's all in the song. You just got to listen to the song.
Yeah, well, it seemed like more straightforward, and the supernatural stuff was just like kind of tossed in there at the end. But I will say that I think I'm sure everyone here's seen Stepford Wives, right? I don't think there was any good male characters in that movie either, was there?
But that movie had legitimate commentary that made sense and wasn't slapping the viewer in the face.
Well, yeah. I'm not this is nothing like good like that. I'm just saying it can be done. Like when I'm just careful about when I see, as an example of a movie that can have pretty much no male good characters, it can be done. I think I'm just trying to convey that, like, a lot of stuff that's being said, it's like I half or 3/4 of it agree with, but then it's like part of me is like, well, you can still do that. Just this movie just didn't do it good, and that's the problem.
I agree with the overall message. Ultimately, I don't know if I consider myself a feminist necessarily. I feel that women can do anything a man can do. They should get paid the same amount. They should get the exact same amount of respect and seniority, no matter what job they choose to do. But this movie is so ham-fisted that it does a disservice to that message. Like I said, this movie had the opportunity to be a very important movie in our genre, and it failed miserably to the point where I actually walked out kind of disliking women more than I did when I walked out the movie.
Well, it kind of feels like this movie is a product of when you don't have the content in the story itself, then you have to start writing zingers.
I disagree. I don't think the story was that important I don't think it was that bad. Even the story was okay enough, like for a PG-13 horror film. Like, I don't hate the story at all. I actually thought it could be it could be better, but the only stuff that I truly hated was the secondary story of the Me Too stuff. It was horrible. It was very counterproductive.
Yeah, if you took it all out, it could have been a decent film, honestly, with like just a new plot. Obviously, like I said,
it really didn't affect me that much. I really didn't. And I'm just wondering, do you think your hatred of this would be as bad if it wasn't marketed and titled Black Christmas?
I can answer that.
I knew nothing about the movie going into it.
Say that again, Christian.
I knew nothing about
I know I've argued about the title Black Christmas and how it does actually fit the movie, but if it wasn't Black Christmas, it wasn't a remake or marketed as a remake, or you thought you're going to do a remake, do you think you'd still have the same level of hatred?
Yes, I would. Now, if you rephrase that question to say, would you have the same level of hatred had they not came out and marketed it as a Me Too movement film and censored it and this, that, and the other? The answer would be no. I probably wouldn't hate it as much for me.
Well, I know, going into it, I knew nothing about the marketing whatsoever. I was just hoping to see a halfway decent movie that was at least a little bit better than the 2006 remake, and I was sorely disappointed. So marketing be damned, as far as I'm concerned. It affects me in no way at all.
I do not care at all that it shares the title with Black Christmas, or that it's the second that doesn't come into factor at all, because I love remakes, a lot of them, and I'm all for it. Like, if you want to do it, go ahead. I'll check out what. And I actually don't want it to be the same. As Brandon says,
absolutely.
if you're gonna remake it. You know what I mean? Do something else. Do something a little bit different.
Sure,
So I
but remake
want
it well.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a totally different movie, though. Christmas and sorority is it. And Brandon wouldn't like this because, as I joked on the chat, there's way too many Christmas lights, especially in the kitchen scene one time. There's just a string of Christmas lights going through. First thing that popped through my head was Brandon would hate this.
Also, I think Dave Z is the one who said if you're going to remake it, remake it.
I thought
absolutely right, Carly. She's the true fan.
No, Dave said that after Brandon.
I thought
Brandon said if you're gonna remake it, and then
he said
Dave
it about
made
Suspiria.
it. Yeah,
Actually,
but that's because Brandon said it way before that.
It's true.
Shit! Oh man! Okay.
DH fan.
F Dave
Take
Z.
it back.
Still in the
Venom.
Yes, ma'am.
You made a really good point about when you said you walked out of that theater. And I know you weren't meaning this, but hating women more than when you walked in. And that's the problem with this movie. It made men feel attacked. Like, I turned around and there were two dudes that went to see that movie, and they were like, what the fuck was that? That did not give the message that this director was trying to give. And I think that your gut reaction there speaks to it. And there was potential here. And yes, I think if you watch it from a cheesy lens at that end and that final fight scene, you're like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. Let's just have a good time. Here we go. Black goos everywhere, and they're having these bow and arrows and shit. Great. But the bottom line is it alienated men, and that was not the point of it. The point was to educate, not alienate.
I got a question.
Let me ask you guys. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, this is kind of the plot wise, I guess. What the fuck did that black goo allow him to do that they couldn't have done without it?
Yeah,
like they said it supposedly gave him super strength, but what super strength shit were they doing?
Well, they have
shooting a bow and arrow.
Then it's even more impressive that the chicks beat him up. You understand? Because not only were they regular guys, they were super strength guys.
The other thing that I was a little bit, the other thing I was a little bit confused about, and I've heard like people say both things just because more discussions happening, is were the frat members embracing the ideology first and then getting possessed to like enhance them, or were they just normal frat dudes and then being possessed by the black goo made them take on the attitude of that founder?
I thought the black goo came from the fact that he was a racist founder, and she went on about how he owned slaves, and he was in the North, and he was a sexist pig, and that's why the statue was removed. So he was just an evil dude, and the evil came out of it. Was that not?
No. Here's why you're wrong.
I meant more the frat brothers, like the ones that.
I have an answer for you. Here's why you're wrong. Because if the goo makes them women hating, know your role thing, then it takes away the point. So, because
I don't think it necessarily made them. I don't think it necessarily made them man haters. It just made them robots. They basically did whatever the frat leaders told them to do.
Well, that's why I was referring to before we even got into spoilers. I was saying it felt like if that black goo was turning them into those kind of guys, and it almost cheapened what the message was for in the first place, which is the badness of guys. So I'm like, what the fuck is the goo actually?
It's funny that's the message, right? That men are bad. But okay, let me bring this up real quick, because this is where I completely lost it, right? So at the very end, right, I'm already kind of like rolling my eyes throughout the movie, and I'm just like, the scene with the cop really bothered me, but other than that, I still had a level of like, okay, this isn't nowhere near as bad as like Jason Lloyd is saying and stuff like that. I'm surprised at how much this film is about that, but still, it's not as bad as everybody's saying. The moment when the professor gives the speech about the fact that women have got out of line and they need to be put back, and these fraternity boys are going to be lawyers and doctors, and they're going to go out into the world and fix this. And the fact that many people are there agreeing with it is so fucking over the top, ridiculous bullshit that I've ever seen in my whole. I was like, you're telling me that many dudes that many dudes are pieces of shit. So you literally are saying that every dude is bad. That
was
literally
the fraternity, though. That was what it was all about.
Dude, come on, man. You're telling me even if you're in a fraternity, every single person has the same viewpoint on women?
You're
in that shitty fraternity, yeah. In that one.
Yeah,
in that particular, that's the whole point. That's why it fits the story.
That's why I've always said they didn't know that about each other, though. It wasn't like they were all recruited. They just found this statue, and that happened. You know what I mean?
Don't forget, these guys were all rushes. They were just rushing the fraternity to join the fraternity. Obviously, that was probably, like the big fraternity on campus, the alpha betas that everybody wants to be a part of. I honestly don't think that every frat brother in there felt the same way as our friend Brian Huntley.
You're telling me there's going to be an entire group of frat people that are like pro-rape and shit.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at all.
But frats create a joint mentality. When you join a frat, you're supposed to put your brotherhood first. So I think what they're doing is they're exploiting that concept. Yet again, it's over the top. They're exploiting the brotherhood of rape.
When it comes to like raping women or like stuff like that, I mean, it's just nobody's gonna do that. That's ridiculous.
It's taken to an extreme. It's taken to an extreme.
Sure. I would never suggest that a frat member or a frat house is pro the act of rape. That's pretty ridiculous. Now, the culture of covering it up and pushing it on the rug and saying, I don't want to get my brother in trouble for it. Mm-hmm. I think that exists. Legitimate.
I think, yes, absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
It 100% exists.
So it's taking that and putting it into this extreme situation. Yeah. That's why I had no problem with it.
Yes.
Okay, and you know what? I can see what you guys are saying. Like, I just thought I went along with the ride. And I'm like, okay, this is so over the top. I get what she's saying. It's like the equivalent of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing and what he was doing in that regard. I know people are going to kill me for making this comparison. And her version of trying to get her point across. I'm just saying I think she's doing it in an extreme way to drive it home. It just wasn't well received.
Absolutely.
But see, if somebody tells you that, right? If you're seeing this, right, and it's saying that, the message is that people often sweep things under the rug and stuff like that, but then it makes it so ridiculous to where it becomes unrealistic. You don't think that that's cheapening the message, because at that point people are rolling their eyes at the point. They're rolling their eyes at what you're trying to say. That is so counterintuitive.
It's funny. When I watched the film, no, I didn't see that. Hearing you guys all talk, yeah, absolutely. It's counterproductive. No question. She shouldn't have gone. Everything that I was saying that I kind of liked, that kind of reminded me of something like, the hero shots when they all have the arrows and they all are going in for the attack at the end. I chuckled. I thought it was funny, but it's right. It goes against everything because it's taking it into a silly direction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, I could see everything you guys are saying. I was never really excessively high on this, but I'm actually much lower on it now just through this discussion.
Then we've done our job.
Good.
Yeah. I'll have to cancel my pre-order.
Dude, I will probably still own this. I'm not even joking, because I'm a completist and it's called Black Christmas, and it's
this
like,
now I can
have a trilogy.
See, now we know why they had to call it Black Christmas, to get into JP's collection. We're guaranteed to have one customer now for the Blu-ray.
And even some of the minorly positive stuff, like Imogene Poots, I usually like her, and I still thought that she did a serviceable job here. She didn't do a great job by any stretch. Like I said, she was basically a caricature through most of the movie. But I mean, just the way that they utilized every other actor in the film, like her best friend, the black girl. Oh my God, could she be more social justice warrior? I mean, it was getting to the point where I wanted to strangle her, and I'm not a woman hater, but I wanted to kill her.
She was annoying. You're right, Venom. She was over the top. This whole movie could just be explained as over the top. Everything was fucking over the top and exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to play a slight devil's advocate, though, just to sort of throw a little defense to the movie, if the woman who made this movie is saying that it was for children or teen girls or preteen girls, I mean, it would make sense to make it a little bit more obvious. I do still think that she went completely ridiculous with it. And hey, this maybe making it only for teen girls wasn't such a good idea because you alienated hardcore fans and just people who like, you know, horror movies in general, because it only made $4.5 million. But at the same time, you know, it maybe making it so obvious was kind of intentional for that reason, even though I think it's stupid for that reason.
I feel like the thing with like, oh, let's make it for teen girls. I feel like when I was a teen girl, I still would have thought this was over the top and dumb. And I feel like,
let me tell when someone says, let's do this for teen girls, as a teen girl, wouldn't you be like, fuck, I don't want to see the shit that they want to do for me. I want to go see the real shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I never, like PG-13, I don't know. When I was in high school, I don't think I really paid attention to R rating or PG-13. It probably wasn't. When
I was a kid, I actively avoided PG-13 movies.
Really?
I only wanted to see the R shit. Yeah. And I was wrong because I ended up liking a lot of PG-13 horror movies. But when I was, you know, of the age of PG-13 viewers, I was trying to see the R shit.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I get, yeah.
I don't mean to derail this, but did someone remember the conversation that they had when they were in the car, I think before the final act? It was because this is where my daughter kind of turned to me and said, well, that was a little silly. And I can't remember what the conversation was when
the one about
she accuses her
of
not believing her.
I think to be honest, I think that's what. No, I think she's driving and she's explaining the whole situation. Like, it's the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like my daughter did say, well, this is weird. So she didn't like it, but then she said it did redeem itself with the fight at the end. But like, again, she was aware of what it was doing. And again, she didn't think it was great by any means, but we both said that was good because I told her out of the gate, I said, people are saying this is absolute garbage. So maybe I set her up for that. You know, when you're set up, you're going in expecting the absolute worst. Venom, you got it. For whatever reason, it worked for me. So I was expecting absolutely nothing. And so when I left, I kept saying I liked it. At the beginning of this episode, I said I liked it.
I don't think what you're saying is necessarily crazy, because if I'm telling you, me being more involved in criticism and podcasting and everything like that, I'm looking for exactly how things are said, exactly how things are written, stuff like that. If I had just seen this in passing and not gave it much thought, I don't think it would have been as offensive and ridiculous as it came across to me. So if you're just seeing it with your daughter on like a, you know, Friday night or whatever, like father-daughter bonding time, I might not have put as much thought into it and just took it as a movie, you know what I mean? So I get that.
And I did that, but I also knew it had an agenda, and so I was trying not to let that overshadow the rest of the movie. And again, I know you guys have been arguing it even if you take that away, you didn't like the rest of the movie. Like, I love the bow and arrow action when the killer is using that. There's a great scare where the arrow comes out of nowhere and shatters like a glass or a vase or something on the counter. And it was actually it was a good jump scare. That was the only jump scare really in the movie, because everything else didn't have a stinger or was just so matter-of-factly presented.
Oh, I thought the only jump scare that worked for me was the one, with the Christmas lights, because they ripped off the greatest jump scare in cinema history.
Exorcist 3?
I was going to bring that up. It was so obvious.
Yeah.
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 But
the guy even had the arms up and everything.
Oh, everything. No, it was a carbon copy. Absolutely. I mean, he was wearing black instead of white. That was about the only difference. But I mean, it was, when the only effective jump scare for me is a ripoff of another jump scare, that means you don't know how to make a horror film. And that's basically what I walk away from this film thinking. This woman does not know how to make an effective horror film, so I'm not going to watch any more of her horror films. Period.
Well, honestly, she did, like I said, Always Shine was good.
Is Always Shine the one about the two
decent.
chicks out in like the woods and?
Yeah, I think it had something to do with like actress.
Yeah.
Like one was.
I think I saw it on Shudder. I think I liked it.
Yeah, it's a Shudder. It was a Shudder exclusive.
Yeah,
it was
I had no
actually
idea
good.
that she had anything to do with that, but I liked that movie.
Yeah.
For what it was.
Do you guys think this would have been, obviously, I mean, it's a pretty obvious question. Yes, it would be better with gore, but do you think it would have changed your opinion like significantly, or do you think it still would have pretty much remained the same, but with
if they would have kept the R rating and not done the atrocious editing throughout the entire film, I would have been a little bit softer on it. I mean, the gore really doesn't help a movie for me, but when you cut away, especially, I mean, the most famous kill in Black Friday, they kind of emulated in this, not exactly, but at least the chair spinning thing, and then they cut it before we actually see the effect. It's like, what? That's literally the most important kill from the 1974 Black Christmas, and you basically dubbed it down to nothing, to a reaction shot. That's not effective horror filmmaking.
And not only that, but it would actually have probably elevated it and proven her point even more so had she shown the violence.
Yes.
To be honest. Fair point. I mean, there's an argument that could be said for that. So by trimming it back so that kids could see it, could work in one way, but I think by showing it, it'll also reiterate this hatred towards women that she's so overtly trying to showcase here. But I was thinking, like, what if that icicle started melting and then you saw a puddle of blood as well? Like, I thought that there's so many things they could have done in that opening shot, because that was visually great. I'm like, okay, we're off to a good start here.
Yeah, no, the snow angel, I was like, the snow angel thing, I was like, even the whole scene leading up to that, there was a little bit of tension and suspense there. If I had not known exactly how it happened because of the trailer, because it shows that whole damn scene.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, okay, this is good horror. This is classic horror moments right here. This girl's walking, she's looking at her phone, she thinks it's the guy behind her. I know that it's probably not, and I for sure know because of the trailer. But even if I didn't see the trailer, I assume that it's not. But still, it's what we like in horror, like the stock, the build up, the moment. And then the grabbing the icicle, the slamming her down, and the snow angel. I was like, oh, that's actually brilliant. I can't believe nobody did that before. And then straight nosedive off a cliff right after that scene.
I mean, since I didn't see the trailer, I genuinely enjoyed that scene. I thought that was a decent kill. The problem is that the next hour and a half of the movie makes you forget how awesome that scene was. I mean, literally walking out of the theater, I wasn't even thinking about the snow angel and the fact that was a pretty cool looking shot, because I was just seething about everything else in the movie.
Yeah.
So, they should have saved that kill for the end, maybe. maybe I would have walked away hating it less.
Yeah, I mean, whether or like rated R level kills, I don't think it would have necessarily made the movie better. But when it comes to slasher movies specifically, like, I wish that would have been what was over the top about it, was the kills. It would have been maybe salvageable to say, okay, this movie's sloppy and a mess, but the kills were like fun. You would have left the theater at least thinking like, hey, I got some cool, inventive kills out of it. And with slashers, I mean, that's almost always what you want to see. You want to see some of it.
Sure. Black Christmas 06. Sloppy, a mess, but at least it's gory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least it was mildly fun.
Absolutely. We haven't talked about the cat kill, where she's looking for the cat, and the camera's kind of raised. I don't know what the exact term for that would be. I thought that was a ripoff. I didn't like that. I thought it cut out too soon. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know what anyone else's thoughts are.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with the Exorcist 3 kill.
Oh, right.
They literally emulated the Exorcist 3 kill. Oh, yes. And it was a high angle shot is the term.
High angle. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it was the only effective jump scare for me because they ripped off the greatest one. So of course it's going to be effective.
They didn't even rip it off well. Like, I didn't even think it was done well. Like, I didn't.
It's funny. I agree with you.
I didn't enjoy it. So
I agree with you. It lacked tension.
Yeah.
They needed a stinger or something there, so it didn't work. It was that arrow coming out of nowhere that scared me.
I agree with you. That scared me too.
But that was it. And then I liked. I kind of knew where it was going. Actually, now come to think of it, I don't think I actually saw this trailer because I think my wife warned me that it showed the whole thing in the movie. Oh. I said I saw the trailer, but I don't think I did because you guys were telling me about that whole snow angel thing. I didn't see any of that.
So that whole scene's in the trailer.
I was warned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I'll give them credit for that. They didn't really put a whole lot of the third act in the trailer. It's a lot of first and second act stuff. But, I mean, like I said, after watching the movie and then watching the trailer, oh, my God, thank Cthulhu, I did not watch that trailer before the movie.
I actually thought the trailer made it look more appealing than it was. Like, to me, the trailer made it seem more like a slasher.
didn't I tell you like, oh, that didn't look bad when we saw the trailer? Except
Yeah,
for I was
like-
like mad that they showed everything.
Right, yeah, it didn't, because it's not showing you all the, rape culture-y bullshit or anything. It looks like a straight up just fun Christmas slasher to me. So I was kind of going into this movie thinking like, it's probably not going to be great, but it'll probably be one of those fun ones that I like more than everyone else. But obviously that's not what I got.
Yeah, I like how they, the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
That thing. Like, I love how they incorporated that with the. Yeah, that was dope. But yeah, man, Jesus.
What did you guys think of the boyfriend's like freak out in the kitchen when he's like, not all men are like, I'm asking the men. Like, were you like, fuck yeah, finally someone is saying something? Like,
no, I thought that happened because they were turning him, right? Or they were attempting to, like with the dog whistle thing. That's why. Well, at first I didn't realize that. At first I was like, whoa, like he kind of did he just get frustrated and blow up and go over the top in his rant too? But then later on, I think it explicitly showed that like that whistling noise or whatever that it would give like. Because it happened with the black guy, I forgot his name, but
that was
he got the headache.
Yeah.
But that was after the thing on his the triangle in black goo on his forehead. Are we to assume that the frat had already gotten to that guy? I don't think so.
Which one? The friend or the boyfriend?
Yeah.
Well, no, because later on I thought he came back and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't like," he was saying like it wasn't him or whatever.
Yeah, he did. He did, and then he gets knocked out when the killers come in. But I think that was the whole thing. It's to bring out the alpha male in them.
Yeah, it's almost like the true nature bullshit thing, like that. Like even though you were trying to be more civilized, like I guess maybe the message behind it was like, oh man, you're trying to be more civilized, but your true nature is this alpha dog.
Just like the woman that was complacent and quote unquote knew her place, her friend.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm assuming she didn't get black goo. She just kind of made a self-preservation move.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I did think
that's
it's kind of funny that even though she turned, that they murdered her anyway. Like, hey, you're gonna sacrifice for the cause. I kind of laughed at that when she got her neck broken.
Yeah.
She's like, wait a minute, I agreed to help you guys. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as far as questioning whether she got the black goo treatment, I don't think so, because I've met women like that. I've met women who are very submissive, who will actually say, oh, my place is behind my man, for whatever reason. I look at them cross-eyed.
I mean, there's people that exist like that for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know my rule with JP. Like, put me in my place every once in a while, and I remember,
Somebody call the cops.
When somebody notices scratches on the face, what happened, Carly?
I fell down the stairs. I'm a pretty clumsy person.
This is horrible and funny. I can't help it, but it's so bad.
She's actually the one that beats me up.
That I believe.
It's actually really true.
Black Goom.
Oh my God, yes.
Can we go on with our lives? Do we have to keep talking about this?
I just love the fact that I've been deflowered. Fresh cuts.
We actually covered a lot of ground pretty quick. Like,
yeah.
Probably because there's just not a whole lot.
I couldn't hold it in. I couldn't hold it in. Damn it! I was like, "This is." And it was also fresh in my head too. I was in the theater like, I wish I could take notes right now because I want to talk about this. I was like getting fired up, man.
Yeah, I usually don't feel that way, but I really felt like I had to talk about it too. And I thought a Facebook status or something isn't going to do it. I need to make a video or do something. So.
And what the hell was the point? Take a girl on a date to see this movie, and the first thing I did when I got out was told him not to.
And I just have to say that I love Do the Right Thing and Spike Lee. And the only reason I put that comparison earlier is because at the time, it was almost like message movie after message movie after message movie. And it was almost hurting Spike Lee at the time, even though he's a superior filmmaker in every form. It just, that was where the comparison came from, because it was like almost like I remember there being arguments that there was an agenda always behind his films.
Right, but he at least in Do the Right Thing, he didn't make every white person an evil piece of shit. You know, I mean, Danny Aiello obviously, you know, may not have been happy with his situation, but his character, at least, you know, when he got mad, it was justified. You know, people were disrespecting him, disrespecting his shop, whatever the case may be. I mean,
very true.
Like I said, there was no need to make every man in this movie evil to get your point across, because ultimately it was counterproductive. And yeah. What the hell was the point? I walk away from this movie literally asking myself, what was the point? If this movie isn't for smart adult women to get something out of, did she literally just make a movie for 13-year-old girls? I mean, I don't know.
I think
somebody educate me. That's so disappointing.
Well, they're all going to have to catch it on Netflix because none of them went to the theater to see it. So
yeah, they actually pulled this from my theater. Tonight was the last night that it was shown in my local theater. So
we
7 days.
We risked our lives to go see it too because it was snowing really hard. And
they had to make
we're like, is this even worth it?
They had to make an extra screen available for Star Wars tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah. Imagine you died trying to get home from seeing this movie.
Dude, no, we made that joke going there because she was like, dude, because we were like, maybe we shouldn't go because I started sliding like out in the crappy area where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I really don't want to die going to see a supposedly shitty movie.
And could you imagine if that was the last movie you ever saw?
God. Dude, I would be so mad.
Oh, no.
My God.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh, man. Is my pain over yet? I'm literally, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to drink all the alcohol in the house and do every single drug in the house in the hopes that I'll forget I ever saw this movie.
In your house, I'm coming to see you. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good time.
Yeah,
hey, baby.
Venom's about to star in Blackout Christmas to get over this.
Oh God, yes.
That was awesome.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, so this movie wasn't very well liked. Christian is the exception, although by the end of the episode he had to really quantify his liking of it.
Yeah, I mean, I give it a pass. I'm still in the passing territory where it seems like a lot of you are not, but I still give it a passing grade.
Yeah, me personally, I didn't walk out of the theater like seething or hating it. I just felt it was just very mediocre. Like I was just like, okay, this is.
I wish it was mediocre. I wish this was an average movie because then I wouldn't hate it the way I do. This movie did. I mean, like I said, short of a couple of scenes and a couple of shots, this movie fails in every way. Even the soundtrack was terrible. I hated the soundtrack. I mean, and like I said, the editing was just, I keep saying atrocious, but it's like, it's the only word I could think of to describe the editing of this film. It's an absolute atrocity. Like I said, we know it was shot to be rated R and they trimmed it down to PG-13, but that's happened before. And they've been able to trim it down much more effectively than this and not look like it was a hack job. I mean, this literally looks like it was an editor right out of film school. Which is just so.
Would you watch an unrated version of this then? If it came out, would you give it a second chance?
Hell no. No. Oh,
I
God,
would.
no.
I want to see what they cut.
Same.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, I think out of curiosity, I'd at least just throw it.
I would watch the scenes. I would watch the individual scenes that they cut out. I will never watch this movie again. If somebody wants me to do a guest spot on a podcast and this is the movie, I will politely say no. I'm not watching this movie ever again.
I think I didn't hate this. I was just disappointed. I was disappointed that they didn't deliver what could have been delivered. I saw this movie as what could have been, and unfortunately, everything, yet again, exaggerated, over the top, could have been better. It just could have been better.
Instead of delivering, it was DiGiorno.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
That's an insult to DiGiorno.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I take that back, DiGiorno. Sorry, you're better than that. Okay, well, before we get out of here, let's go around the cast and find out what everyone's up to. The listeners should pretty much know everyone's shows are all on Horophilia, but let's find out what the latest from everyone is. So, Venom, you can take care of the both of us.
All right. I'll rip through them since I've got like 37 podcasts. You can hear me on the Horror Cast, the No More Room in Hell, which is the parent podcast to this podcast, Fresh Cuts, Theme Warriors, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Cult Unknown, the Slice and Dice Dreadcast. I just recently joined the cast of It's Not Horror Okay with Miss Heather joining us tonight. And then in 2020, I will have one more new project to announce. Yeah, I have a lot of free time.
Just one?
Just one for now.
It's only going to be January 2020, so.
Yeah. I can't promise February. I won't announce three more shows.
It's called Alpha Male.
It's called Giving Movies a Second Watch, and it's Black Christmas.
Nope.
Second view, Dave.
Oh God, I hope Dave doesn't even watch it once, but I'm sure he will. Too bad.
He will.
He'll let me know in 6 months when he listens to this episode.
Actually, yeah. I wonder if Frankie Z would like this one.
Not if Dave tells her about it first.
That's true. I can't believe Frankie Z made her debut on Fresh Cuts before Christian did.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
great.
But this is great. I forgot you guys don't rate because I asked my daughter. My daughter came home, so I asked her to rate.
We don't rate.
No,
we don't really rate.
Well, fuck it. I'm rating anyway. I give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not telling anyone else they can't. We just don't do it as like a policy or whatever.
Well, I gave it a 3.
Wow, that's lower than I expected you to be, JP. I know you weren't like jumping up and down, but
I gave it a 4 on the ride home, and after talking about it, I was like, this deserves less.
I would rate it lower, but it's not even gonna bother.
Right.
Giving this movie a whole number would, I don't know. It seems like it would make me feel dirty.
Venom, you already went through all your shows. It seemed like you did it faster than usual. I was like still waiting for you to come up with like fingers. 4 or more.
I never, because I
ran
never
out.
know how many. I got up to 8. What?
And then as far as social media goes, obviously Mr. Venom on Facebook, Jerry Venom on on Twitter, on Instagram, I'm Venom Horror, and if you want to drop me an email, it's mrvenompodcasts@gmail.com.
Cool. JP, you said you gave this 3 Diva Cups out of 10.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone knows your 22 shots in Netflix and chill. But what's the latest episodes on both?
We just dropped our Christmas annual tradition, which is a viewer's choice show or a listener's choice, depending on where you watch or listen to the show. And Jerry was actually on that. It was a 5+ hour behemoth of a show, Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that when you're having that good a time, it doesn't feel like 5 hours. Like I literally blinked and it was 2 a.m. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was a good show, man.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, we covered Dead End, Inside, and P2 for the Christmas films. Had some what we watched and some other fun stuff on there. And then Netflix and Chill is kind of on hiatus now. Might start a new show, me and Carly, in 2020. We'll see how that goes.
Disney Plus?
Yeah, maybe.
Disney Plus some thrust.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we have our top 10 show coming in a couple weeks. That will actually be a pretty good one. I know people usually like that show. Venom will be on that as well. Our other guest is actually Carly, who's on this show with us, and we're actually getting Mr. Parka back again. So Dave will be back on. He's becoming a regular. A lot of people like him on the show.
He's a good guy, man.
Yeah, he's fun. Awesome. I've known him for years, but I've never worked with him or done anything with him. He was actually one of the first people he's a YouTuber. One of the first people I noticed in the community, and that was probably like 2011 or 10 or 9. So been a while.
Yeah, nice penis too.
Yeah, he shows it a lot. But yeah,
my
that's
daughters
all
are in the other room. They're like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Oh, that's great.
All right, Carly, how about you?
All right. Well, of course, you can always check me out on Horrorphilia. We got the Celluloid Dissections podcast that I do with Derek, and we just released latest episode where we covered Wind Chill, and of course, Mr. Mike here was on that with us. It was a lot of fun. So that is out now. And then Movie versus Movie podcast, Austin and I just recorded the latest Christmas episode on that as well, where we did Silent Night, Deadly Nights, and Christmas Evil, and Derek actually guested on that with us. So that's not out yet, but it should be out soon. So other than that, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Heather, how about you? What do you got going on?
Well, you already talked about Is Not Horror Okay? You can also find me on NFW, and as well as Mr. Scott Crawford and I will be starting a new show in January called Friday Nightmares, and our first topic will be what is horror, and we will be comparing movies and talking about the genre of horror and how it's defined.
That all sounds amazing.
Pretty excited.
Yeah, it's funny too because we just had Neil on too for the first time. I think.
Like last week or something like that, right?
Either last week or the week before. I can't.
And last. Nudie, I'm kidding.
He doesn't
listen.
Yeah.
Is that an early Christmas present to the listeners, never having him on again? Just kidding, Neil. That's never having Jeremy on again. That's the real Christmas present. Christian, you're last up on this. Everyone should know you from Exploding Heads, but let them know what you cover on the latest episode.
Yeah, Exploding Heads, we are about to record the Firefly trilogy. That will be this weekend. We're recording that. We did just a bonus episode on Patreon. You can also catch me on my original podcast, which is TJF13, which I do with Vince Franco, who's like Heather's neighbor in Hamilton there.
Oh, I love that show so much.
Yeah, me too, man. I actually heard that show well before Exploding Heads, man. I was a fan of yours well before I heard Dave Z's voice.
That show is great because there's no rhyme or reason to when it releases. It's just like randomly one day I'll be on Horrorphilia and I'll be like, oh.
We promised we were going to do 2 more episodes this year, and we still did. We didn't get them done. 6-year anniversary and no show.
I just started actually listening to that show. Just going through certain episodes, and I enjoy it as well. I like how it's very fast paced, to the points, and I enjoy it, Christian.
Oh, thank you, Carly.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it too. Thanks, everybody. So yeah, that show.
Cool.
And thanks for having me on this one. This has been fantastic, and I hope it's not the last. I hope I'm invited back. Unlike the other 2 we're just talking about.
Yeah, I missed recording with you, Christian. It's been a while.
Yeah. This is my first time with Carly, Heather.
Yeah.
Mike was on one of our episodes. Jerry was on one of our bonus ones earlier this year. And JP, I've been on a couple of yours. You've been on one or 2 Exploding Heads.
1, actually. No, wait. No, I think it was 1. Yeah, just 1 way back in the day.
Well, secret, next year we're hoping to have a lot of female co-hosts. Not because of the Me Too movement or anything like that, just because we want to change it up.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, is your first guest Sophie Takal? She's going to have some.
Be on that one with us, Jerry?
She's going to have some notes for your podcast, just so you know.
Yeah.
As far as this show goes, we are taking the rest of the year off. I mean, it's basically a week and a half. So our next episode will end up being our top 10 of 2019. That'll probably drop, sometime in the first half of January, just depending on me and Venom's schedule. And if we decide to get anyone on with us, we'll figure it out. I mean, I assume a lot of shows are going to be doing their top 10, so not everyone's going to want to go through them twice on multiple shows. So we'll figure that out. Got a couple weeks to prep for that. And then after that,
January is crazy. I assume you guys are going to do a bunch of fresh cuts, but you have The Grudge, Underwater, Turning, and Gretel and Hansel in the first month.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't seem like it slows down much too. Like there's other stuff coming out after.
Well, what's funny is it's like out of the recent months, it's like October was like the lightest, which is crazy.
It always is. I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. October ends and then it's like just nonstop.
Yeah.
Anyways, JP, Carly, thanks for coming back. Heather, Christian, thanks for joining us for the first time. Everyone, of course, is welcome back. It's fun. This went pretty well, more smooth than I expected. I think we all.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, listeners and co-hosts, for dealing with my piss and vinegar on this episode. Anybody who's a regular listener of this show knows that I get really heated when I'm forced to spend an hour and a half of my life with something that I can't stand. So hopefully, for whatever it's worth, at least it was enjoyable, because I feel so much better now. I feel all vented. It's great.
Mr. Vented.
That's a Neil Lemoy meme waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell him to listen to the episode and we need a Mr. Vented meme. Cool. Well, we will be back early 2020 with our top 10 our top 10 show. So until then, listeners, thanks for I guess the first year of listening, because this is the first year of the show, first full year. And with that, we will catch you next time.
Feliz Navidad, motherfuckers.
Up in the frat house, me and you, and we know what I'm there to do. We're drinking and kissing, and what comes next? You and I have sex, but ho ho ho, I didn't know. Ho ho ho, I didn't know. Up in the frat house, there's one true fact, and that is that I got attacked. Up in the frat house, things went down, and I'm telling everyone in town. Did lady want, for goodness sake? Couldn't have, 'cause I was not awake. Ho ho ho, I didn't know. Ho ho ho, I didn't know. 'Cause up in the frat house, click click click, what you guys do here is really sick. There's no more protecting you. No, he said, she said, what was true?